Hey, it's Marthea Pitts, the MSW coach, and I want to talk about something. I don't have an outline. I don't even have a talking point, so I'm just gonna talk. I just got out of the macro social work career incubator. We just finished cycle one. They wrapped up their 5 weeks inside of the incubator. They got clarity around what type of macro jobs they want, what population, what issue they want to support, how they want their day-to-day work. They know how to find the macro jobs. They know how to translate their experiences as a case management to macro employers to get macro jobs and not sound real social worky in the process. They understand how to interview for macro jobs and master those. So if you're interested, the career incubator is the place to be. Think of it like a career boot camp. It's 5 weeks of intensive work and me teaching you the fundamentals you need to start taking charge of your career. They know how to draft resume bullets. They know what experiences they have is valuable to macro employers and all of that. They understand that they are already qualified to get the jobs that they want. They don't need additional degrees or experiences. So if you're interested in learning about a macro social work career incubator, click the link down in the description and visit Macro and Paid. There's information there, and it's a cycle starting soon. So click the link and you can join. I want to talk about something that I was talking to the group about earlier, and it's about, and I don't even know if I have a fantastical title for this conversation. It's the end of the day. It's been a long day for me. Um, but I want to talk about this, and I probably will release it tomorrow. I most definitely will release it tomorrow. I want to talk about the importance of fortifying yourself when you are the person who is always the go-to person for everything. And what I say by fortify, it's a word that I borrowed from one of my business coaches, but of course we've heard it before, but still, because she was talking to me about the importance of fortifying myself for the things that was coming. And I want to talk to you all using that word to stress the importance of fortifying yourself to take on the work that you're doing currently, right? Wherever you're working, because you are the go-to person for everything, meaning in your personal life, you're the strong friend. Your family and friends come to you for everything. You may even be like the matriarch of the family. You may be the head person of your family. But then you go to work and you're the person who has to be the strongest one in the room for the people that you support, be it your clients, be it your team, be it your colleagues. You are that person. In your pursuit to be that person, because many people wear that as a badge of honor, and I'm not criticizing it, but I want to stress the importance of making certain that you are taking care of yourself and not in the cliche way of, oh, self-care, self-care, self-care. What I mean is being preventative in your approach. So what I was encouraging the attendees of Cycle One, the Career Incubator, is the importance of having a morning and a night routine, something that's just for you, something that you do to strengthen yourself to take on the world in whatever way you do that every day. Is it if even if it's just based on I got up today and put some clothes on, right? You need to have a routine in place to fortify yourself. So what I was sharing with them is for me, my morning routine is I get up. I believe in God. I don't know what you believe in. I believe in God. So my morning routine is I get up in the morning, I pray, I listen to gospel music, I do my morning routine, get fully dressed, all of the things. My morning hygiene routine, and then get dressed for the day. I then spend intentional time eating because I spent so many years when I worked outside of my home. I spent so many years just jumping out of bed, racing out the house to get me and my daughter out that I never ate breakfast. I never intentionally sat down. So over the last several years, I have really embraced the routine of slow mornings. I started that once I got my first macro remote job. Well, even before that was my first macro job. I worked in office. However, it was because I was a director, I could go in late, right? And it wasn't even late. The office did not open until 9 a.m. as opposed to like my old jobs where you had to be there at 8 a.m., which meant you needed to be there at 7:30 a.m., right? So it was in that first job that I started to slowly adopt the practice of a morning routine. Let me talk about that. Because that routine I was really strict with. Let's talk about that. This is so timely because I touched the book that I used to read every morning. So my morning routine for that job, because I had to go in office, but I didn't have to be there, I think until like 9, maybe even 9:30. It felt real late in the morning because I was used to having to be out my house at like 7 a.m. in the morning. Now I was able to leave my house at 8:30 and still get to work on time, right? So my morning routine looked like I got up in the morning, prayed, but then I prayed again. Prayed, got did my hygiene routine, got fully dressed, went into my kitchen, either if I was having tea with my breakfast or just having breakfast. That would look, I'm gonna go in detail, right? Because this was 2017, 2017, 2018, maybe. It was the year, it was my daughter's first year of college. Was it her first year? Yeah. It was my daughter's first year of college, and it was the first time ever that I was completely by myself. I wasn't in a relationship. I wasn't living with anyone. I wasn't, a teen at my mom's house. Like it was the first time in life. So I really, truly was teaching myself how to take care of myself because I was so accustomed to taking care of everything and everyone. Plus, it was the first time I was making the most money in my life that I had ever made. It was the first job that I had full autonomy over, like how I did my job, where I did my job, how much money the organization spent for me to do my job. Like I had full autonomy over everything. So it was the first time I had full reign over my whole life. And it wasn't like determined by other people's lives and other people's stuff. I wasn't in a relationship at the time. It was full Marthea. Actually, now that I think about it, it was a little too much Marthea. And I kind of upper limited myself towards the end. But that may be a video for a whole nother time, like how sudden change, if you're not prepared for it, can be a lot. However, I had worked many years to get to this point, right? I talk to you all every day about the fact that I was doing strategic things in my case management job to get a job that paid me really well and that got me to as proximate as power. And so I was living the dream. I was living the dream that I had dreamt up and planned in my cubicle with the 120 plus caseload as a case manager. I was living in it, right? So every morning I would get dressed. I would make turkey sausage and eggs. That's like my staple breakfast with some kale in it. It's like I forget what my ex used to call it. It's like a scramble, right? So I have some peppers, to be a bell peppers or some multicolored peppers, cut up in it with purple onion. I'm a purple onion girl. So I would eat that. I would drink lemon water first thing in the morning, and I would be fully dressed. It would still be 8 o'clock, right? I don't have to leave my house until 8:30. And so from there, my apartment was a 1 bedroom. It was the first time I ever lived in a 1 bedroom because mind you, I had my daughter at 20. And from that point on, we were always in 2 bedrooms, something or other, be it an apartment or a home. And so I was also getting accustomed to being in a smaller space, to downsizing on everything that I needed, all of that, right? So because my apartment was so much smaller and I hadn't really like got used to being in my room and nobody else being in the house, it's weird. I gotta watch the front door. Plus I had a sliding glass door, like the fears of being a single person. So, so what I would do was I would sit in the morning with my blinds open because I had a big sliding glass door in my living room. I would sit in the morning with my blinds open because my neighbors were gone. I lived near a military base. My neighbors were gone to work. They were going to work probably 4 o'clock in the morning. I would sit and I was on the second floor. I would have my blinds open and I would sit in front of my laundry room, in front of the washer and dryer because it was like in the hallway that connected my bedroom to the bathroom to the living room. So I had my chair. I actually got rid of my chair in my recent relocation. And I felt some kind of way at first, but I was like, in order for God to bless me with new, I gotta release the old. And I had been holding on that chair for probably 15 years. That chair got me through all of my degrees. It got me through my AA degree. It got me through my bachelor's, through my master's. The number of Sundays, the number of weekend hours that I spent in that chair at my little coffee table, typing my papers, unlimited, like thousands and thousands of hours because I like to sit at not a coffee table, the little TV trays. Like I love to sit there and type on my laptop to type my papers. And I would usually be on the phone with whoever I was talking to at the time. And they would keep me company while I type my papers and I would watch TV. That's that when I watch TV. But I had my chair with me because I brought it with me to Jacksonville when I relocated there for my first macro job. And I would sit with my back to the front door, but I would face the washer and dryer and have the closet to that area open so I could use it essentially as like a table because I didn't have a table. Why would I need a table? It's only me, my baby at school, right? And so what I would do was I would sit there and I would do a few different things. I would this is because I was also at this time learning teaching myself how to regulate my emotions. Um, that honestly is the year that I had a huge self-awakening. And I won't talk about that because that's my personal business. But I had a huge self-awakening. And it was years before the whole when I told y'all like the scales fell from my eyes. It was a huge awakening for me that year. And so I would sit in front of the washer machine and dryer, and I would read my Bible. I would pray. I will also, going back to what I was saying, I was teaching myself how to regulate my emotions because also this is the first big job that I ever had. And I didn't have anyone to coach me through it. I didn't have anyone to bounce ideas off. I didn't have anybody to say, what do you think about this? And when I would come to people that I knew to talk to them about my day, they had never experienced anything like that, so they couldn't support me through it. So I was in like the wilderness. Those are my wilderness days, even though I feel like I've been in the wilderness the last few years, but I think I've been there ever since. But I was really in the dark then, right? So I was teaching myself how to regulate my emotions to deal with all of this newness that was coming about because I had just graduated my MSW program the year before, so I wasn't in school. So all of that was a new norm to me. Like, what do you mean I just have this free time and I just come home and relax? I don't have a child to look after. I don't have homework to talk about. I don't have projects to do. I don't need to go run someone somewhere. I don't need to be writing a paper. It was a lot of me time. So I learned about the Calm app. And so every morning before I would leave, I would sit in my little nook. We're going to call it a nook. It was my little makeshift office. And I would pull up the Calm app. And there was this one specific Black woman narrator. I loved her voice. I don't know what her name is, but she got me through that year. Maybe I need to look her up. And every morning, because I was trying to teach myself how to meditate, how to calm my mind. Because, like I told you all, I am a natural planner, just like many of you. My mind never used to never shuts off. It's still, it ain't as bad as it used to be. And what I was also telling my people earlier in the incubator is that I have done a lot of work and still do a lot of work to reprogram myself. Because I spent so many years in survival, my brain at the sign of any little bit of trouble automatically defaults to the extreme negative, right? Like I automatically go to the worst case scenario. There's no in between, right? And so this was the beginning of me realizing that I had a lot of stuff that I had to unlearn, stuff that I picked up, but mainly a lot of stuff that was a byproduct of me spending so many years in survival. So, and working in bad jobs and being exposed to just bad situations outside of my control. So I would sit in front of my makeshift nook, and I would do the Calm app every morning for like 15 minutes. And I remember being so frustrated back then. I still probably, I don't meditate as much as I used to. I pray now, but I meditate in a different way, a way that works for me. But I remember being so upset because I could not control my thoughts. Like she will start talking, and I'm thinking about, I need to go to the grocery store and get blah, blah, blah. Or when I get back, I'm thinking about everything, right? And so when you meditate, it's not the absence of thought, it's the absence of it. The goal is to not get caught up in the thoughts, right? And even years before that, I was trying to teach myself how to meditate, and I found this one video on YouTube. They're like, think of your thoughts like clouds, right, that are floating. Well, actually, I think they use the analogy of cars. Think of your thoughts as like cars passing by on the freeway, right? You could want to approach the car, but you don't get in the car. You look at the car. You may, well, no, I think how they explain is like when the car passes you, you may watch it for a little bit, but you don't watch it go all the way down the road, not when there's hundreds of cars coming. So he was saying, like, when you are meditating, the goal is not to follow the car, the thought all the way down the road. Is to, you can maybe look at it, you maybe could look at it a little bit when it gets to the left of you, but you want to release it. And you just want to keep releasing them. You want to just let them go. And eventually you don't even want to pay attention to the cars, right? Your eyes don't even get stuck on them. Again, I don't have an outline of this top. So one, I was teaching myself, I was getting used to being just Marthea. I was teaching myself to prioritize me. I was teaching myself to regulate my emotions because, and I've never talked to you all about it. I think I probably kind of in a roundabout way, a lot of my like me needing to learn how to regulate my emotions is due to the fact that I had to teach myself years before that. Again, I've been on this journey to show up bigger and better for years. So years before that, even in my case management job and my personal life, what that looked like was me learning about mothering, right? And what that is and and I'm sure I'm not saying it right. Clinical people don't jump down my throat. This is just me talking in real world terms. I had to teach myself how to mother myself, right? How to self-soothe myself. I didn't even know that was a thing until I started looking for whatever. I think it started off because I realized, let me think about it. Because I told them, I think it started when I was on my first weight loss journey and I lost like over 70 pounds in 4 months. I lost a lot of weight. That was when I was on a career sabbatical. I put a picture up in a video before. And it was during that time that I was getting to the root of why I emotionally ate, because I discovered that I emotionally ate. I ate my feelings, right? And so out of that discovery, once I healed myself from that, I then began to figure out ways to self-soothe myself, because what I figured out was that it was a result of the need to soothe myself, to comfort myself, to console myself. Um, and so from that, that's when I discovered the term mothering and what that looks like in you when you need to do that. And so from there, the mothering transformed into me finding ways to calm myself, to regulate my emotions. Because my emotions, y'all see, Yeah, y'all see the, the healing version of me. However, um, if the situation right, if the fire lit high enough, I will go from 0 to 100. It ain't no in between, right? And so, and I do that, let me be clear, not out of, oh, I'm big and I'm bad. It's to protect myself, right? I have a good friend of mine. He always say, you don't bother nobody. He's like, but don't let them mess with you or don't let them mess with your baby. That's true. When my safety is in danger, when I feel disrespected and it's harming me in some way, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get you up off me, right? And my tongue can be swift, right? It cuts deep. But however, you can't move through the world like that, right? It's other ways to protect yourself. That's what I learned, and I adopted a way of pick and choose your battles, Marthea. Everything don't warrant a response, right? And so with that, I had to learn how to regulate my emotions. A lot of the fact, and I'm gonna go in deep since we talking personal today. A lot of that was associated with the fact that for the last 20 years, I have been grieving the death of my mother. And my mother, I don't live in that state anymore, but where I used to live prior to where I am, my mother lived less than 20 minutes across town for me. However, our relationship is non-existent. So I'm moving through the world as a solo human, solo on every level. I always tell you, I don't have a backup plan. If I don't make it happen, it don't happen. It ain't nobody I could call to come save me, right? It ain't nobody that call and check up on me. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Did you eat today? Right? I've been out on my own since I was 19. That's a lot. That's a lot to carry, right? To be completely alone in a world where you have family. That's a lot, right? So with that, I had to teach myself, and I know this gonna help somebody because the Lord didn't put it on my heart. I had to teach myself how to regulate my emotions. Right. And so what that looked like for me that year was I would sit there, I would do the Calm app, I would read, and I actually picked up this book today. That's how I know this message is timely. This was the book. I think I shared it with you all before. Maybe I shared it on Instagram. This book is by Iyanla Vanzant. It's called One Day My Soul Just Opened Up. And this is a brand new copy because I said I'm gonna do it again. Because it's like a working book. I'm not gonna call it a workbook. It's a working book, 40 days and 40 nights towards spiritual strength and personal growth. Because I was on a journey to grow as a human. And actually, when I picked it up today, I'm like, okay, I could start this new book because I ordered it last year sometime. On the introduction, the title of it is called Removing the Veil. You can't see it. But what caught my eye about that was like, this is the year that the veil was removed from me. And I realized like where I had been going wrong in my life up until that point. Like I was brutally honest with myself that year. So I would read this book. I would do she has like lessons. I would do a lesson a day. It's called the daily process. Get the book. Get the book. So I would each day, she has day one, day two, day three, da 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 da. So she has definition, she has commentary, and it's all about, and the first day one is honor the divine with truth. This whole book is about being brutally honest with yourself about where you went wrong. What do you need to do differently? What will it take? Who are the people in your life that's holding you back? This book was major. So I did this book. This was the first book that I ever read cover to cover. It actually did every activity. I have my other version. It's still packed up where I would go through it each day and I have little tabs and I wrote on each page. I won't show nobody because that was my stuff. But I would read this book every morning and I would sit in front of my computer, in front of my little nook. And then I would just, after I was done with that, I would just sit there and just be resting, like resting my mind. I know I kind of moved away from the thing, but from that, every day I left my house fortified and ready to take on the day. I didn't just jump out of bed, go do my hygiene, get dressed, and run out the door. I took intentional time for me. And those were the early start. Those were like the early days of teaching me the importance of prioritizing myself. And that's when I started adopting that language. I still had a long way to go now. I'm not saying I did it perfect. I wasn't doing it perfect back then. I was still drinking margaritas and things like that. It still took years, but it was a process. I first had to learn that there was another way of being and doing in life. And that life doesn't always have to be about me giving everybody else. That life should be about me taking care of me. And in my situation, because I know my situation is not everybody's situation, I'm not trying to put that on you. For me, it also looked like learning how to mother myself, which means Marthea, checking in with myself. Marthea, did you drink water? Marthea, you need to go to bed. It's late. This is what I learned from watching tons of videos on YouTube about mothering. Actually, it was one video. It was a Black woman, and she was sharing strategies. And what I learned about, like, Marthea, go to bed instead of sitting up all night working on the paper. You're tired, Marthea, go lay down. Marthea, you're sick. Call the doctor. Go to the doctor. Mothering is about telling yourself the things that your mom should tell you, right? Things that your mom would tell you. So for me, how I learned to do that with myself is I just started to repeat the things that I would tell my own daughter. That's how I taught myself based on the examples that the person gave me in that video. And I share that because I heard something that a therapist said recently on a public platform. And they were like, it's a lot of women out here who don't have mothers for whatever reason. And so when I thought about that, I was like, wow, yeah, because I'm one of those people. So I share this because I'm sure this probably resonates with somebody. And so I want to say, if that's you, or maybe your dynamic is a little bit different, whatever it is, the message is you need to fortify yourself. You can't save the world if you are not slowing down to take care of you. You can't save the world unless you're slowing down to take care of you. So that looks like taking a day off work. Take a day off work. The people will be okay. They'll live. You gotta leave. You gotta leave. But that looks like you need to be very intentional with taking your lunch to work and taking a lunch. Do that. If that looks like you need to start telling family and friends and whoever no when you get home at the end of the day because you want to rest or you want to do something else, do that. They will live. But I'm gonna end there. I hope y'all got the point. I feel like I kind of went off, but that used to be my morning routine, and I did that every morning. That was the first year that I really stuck to something other than my weight loss the years before that. But that was because I was off work. That was the first time I ever stuck to something and was still going outside of my home for work. And I did it every morning that I went to work. And I started showing up different. The people around me started seeing a change in me. They didn't know what it was. I didn't even know what it was, but it was a clear shift taking place. And so if life is lifing for you right now, if it's feeling a little hard, if you feel like you just all over the place, whatever the thing is, you might need to slow down for a little bit and mother yourself, especially if you're a go-to person. That means you probably are the go-to person for your mother. You need to slow down. You need to talk to yourself. I do a lot of self-talk because I naturally go to the worst case scenario. I did it earlier today. That's what I was telling her. I was at my sink brushing my teeth because my mind was floating to the negative. I was like, my life is good. I am blessed. God is so good to me. And I have to force myself. It's so hard for me to even say it internally because I'm so used to bad things happening to me. I had to force myself to say it 5 times. I am so in my mind. I am so blessed. God is so good to me. My life is so good. I'm so happy. God, I am so blessed. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. I am so blessed brushing my teeth. And it hurt me to say it, but you got to do it. All right, I'm going to go. Happy macro career planning. Bye.